Do you ever feel like there are a million things to do, like you're stretched paper thin, and when you look back upon your day, nothing important got done? Here are some habits that I've built that let me feel more productive, but also achieve what truly matters to me. These habits stack and compound upon each other, so if you implement any of them, you'll become a little bit better day by day until you truly become unrecognizable. This first habit is something that can change your entire outlook on life if you can implement it. This habit can also save you hours per day and make you feel happier and more in control. Number one is to have a media consumption diet. So some things that I do are to create limitations around what I consume. If I do decide to consume something, I won't do it right away. Instead, I put it in a folder to read later or watch later when I have the free time to. Another form of content I consume are books by experts, since I know that they've done the research to write it and it's on a very focused, narrow topic. The second habit makes it easier to feel focused and get distracted less. As soon as I do this, I feel ready to take on the task at hand. Habit number two is journaling right before I work, and the journal prompt that I like to use is, what do I want to do versus what do I need to do? By writing those two side by side, I really get to see actual value of what I want to do versus what I need to do. It's really easy for our brains to come up with a logical reason to do the things that we want to do rather than the need to do's. And this next one removes all of the extra unwanted junk in life and leaves only what really matters. It makes me feel at peace and ready to spring into action. Habit number three is constantly decluttering, but not as a big, huge project. You don't want to declutter your entire house, your entire room, your closet. You just want to declutter as you go. Like, I just try to unsubscribe to all the emails that I don't find pertinent, or if I see something in my house that I haven't used in a long time or I know it's never going to be used again, I'll just go and toss that in the donation bin or the trash or wherever it belongs. You just start really small. Start with one thing. Decluttering is a skill that you have to build, and if you look at your entire house as like one huge project, that's way too overwhelming. Like, that is a ginormous project, but just one item, you got this. Habit number four is, when you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling in a rush, just stop, take a pause, and take a deep breath. That reset, you feel calmer, your heart rate slows down, your blood pressure lowers a little, and you just feel more relaxed. And that gives you a clearer mind to move on to your next task or continue the task that you've already started. You feel like you can achieve it rather than being super overwhelmed. Habit number five is to have a upper bound for your work. Now, what I mean by that is, when you go to work and you have something to do and you start it, if you don't know how it ends, then you don't want to go to work, because you're like, well, I could be sitting there indefinitely. I'm not going to be able to finish this thing because there's no clear definition for when it ends. One thing that I do is I say, I'm only going to work for an hour, or I'm only going to work until I finish this task. And this task has very clear boundaries. Like today, I'm only going to film this video. It's going to take about 30 minutes, and afterwards, I'm done. I move on. I'll go to work happily knowing that it will end. Habit number six is to set yourself up for the next day the night before. There are two things that I do. The first one is I will plan the most important tasks for tomorrow. That way, when I do get to work, I don't have to sit there and think, what do I need to do today? How do I get started? So I already know what to do. I just jump into work, close the door, turn on the PC, and then start on the tasks that I've planned for myself. The second thing is that I like to do whatever I need to do to start the next day slow and not in a rushed, whether that means clean the litter box, unload the dishwasher, make sure the sink is empty, all those small chores that really accumulate, and you start the morning and you're like running around. I heard this in a Tim Ferriss podcast. He says it really doesn't matter what your morning routine is, whether you do a cold plunge, meditate, wake up early, run, as long as you start off not rushed, then you'll do well. Because when your mind is rushed, you feel overwhelmed, you feel stressed out. But if it's slow and calm and relaxed, then you can approach the whole day that way too. Habit number 7 is to have a pre-work ritual that takes about 2 minutes. This is important because when you start your work, you don't want to be interrupted, and then you get up and get distracted. So I do several things, and one is getting a water bottle ready. If I get thirsty, I have it with me. Number 2 is to go to the bathroom before you sit down for work. That way 15 minutes later you're not getting up and going to the bathroom and then being like, well, I don't want to go back to work. Habit number 8 is to keep a similar routine every day. And yes, that involves weekends. One of the biggest ways that people get thrown off track is because the weekend. They stay up late, they wake up late, they skip the gym, they don't do what they normally do. So on a graph, it sort of looks like you're doing really well during the week, and then the weekend you tank a little bit, so you lose all your sleep, you get distracted, you eat unhealthy, and then it takes you some time to wind up back to the work week. So you've wasted Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. You're like, oh, I'm ready to focus again. Rather than doing that, you can just keep a steady baseline throughout the week. Go sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time, eat pretty healthy, maybe have like one cheat meal here or there, but nothing too crazy, and then just go to work every day, even if it's an hour maximum. And that way you never feel the dip, but you also never overextend either and then have to reset and feel burnt out and then take a break and then get back to work. So keep it steady. Habit number 9 is to have a bathroom organizing shelf. Now, this is also a one-time habit that I think has truly changed the way that I do nighttime and morning routines. It's great because it has all of my stuff there. So I know, like, I brush my teeth, I floss, use the water pick, and I use mouthwash. The same goes for the skincare routine. Like, I wash my face, use toner, I put on moisturizer, I put on sunscreen, and I go about within my day. It's not hidden in the drawer somewhere, similar to the habit before. Like, it's in your face, it's there, it's telling you, hey, like, do your hygiene routine, do it, and get on with your day. Habit number 10 is to just brain dump and have a place for your brain dumps instead of coming up with this ultra complicated like second brain thing. And I do mine in Notion because it's searchable. I like the title to be something that I know my future self will look back on and search. But it's one system that just works for everything, whether you are brain dumping like how you feel for the day, or what you need to do, or your thoughts about your work, what you read in a book, whatever it is. Just get it off of your mind, put it on paper. That way you can look back on it 2 hours later, a day later, and maybe some other thoughts will come up. But it lets you focus on the task at hand rather than getting distracted and going down that weird little rabbit hole that your brain just went down. Habit number 11, which I have started doing recently, is to just put your phone in another room and turn the notifications off. That way you're not prompted to check on it every couple minutes automatically. You're not checking on it during transitions, going to the bathroom, refilling the water. It's just in another room, it's chilling, it's doing its own thing, and it'll be fine. So because I've done this, my phone time has dropped from like 3 to 4 hours to under 30 minutes a day. And it's been pretty life-changing. I have a lot more empty space in my day. I'm a lot more focused when I go to work. I'm a lot more present throughout my day, hanging out with my family, like automatically just checking it all the time. Habit number 12 is to automate all your bills. This way, you don't have to be constantly stressed out about where your money's going, or you don't have to constantly think, oh, on the 5th, I've got to pay my electricity, my gas, my credit card, and my internet. All that stuff is just happening in the background. It's also a great system to track all your expenses too. If you know everything's getting paid at certain times throughout the month, you pick one day in the month and you just track all your expenses that day. You track your expenses, you track your net worth, you go into all your accounts, write everything down. We use a spreadsheet and we do everything on the 10th, but you can use apps, or there's a lot of things that you can do that's not that, but spreadsheet is the easiest. Habit 13 is, well, it's a doozy to build, but it's worth it when you build it, and that is to meal prep. We take about 3 hours a week to prep and cook everything for the entire week. But once you do, that's it. You've got a week full of meals. All you do is you go to the kitchen, open the fridge, grab the meal out, put it in the microwave, and then eat it, and then toss the thing in the dishwasher. And it's that easy. You save so much time and mental space. And surprisingly, you also eat healthier because you have all your meals. You're not prompted to say, oh, hey, let's eat out today. And your vegetables are already in your meals. Your proteins are already there. Everything's portioned and ready for you to eat. Habit number 14 is to break down really big tasks into tiny recurring actions. One big task that we had for these videos was that I had to film all the B-roll for the videos in like a day. And that just felt so daunting, but so big. We've broken that into just filming like 5 clips a day every night after our daughter goes to sleep. My husband has like a beard care, hair care day that he's broken down now into just trimming the beard daily instead of having this big session where it takes like an hour to trim and shape and do whatever beard stuff that he does. But every day it's like 5 minutes now. It's easier to start and it's less overwhelming. Habit number 15 is work related, and that is to use a ton of upfront effort to plan your project, break it up into small little milestones and tasks, and that way every day that you show up you already know what you're doing. There's less chance to deviate from the plan now. You know exactly what needs to happen for the project to be completed. Habit number 16 is to read in small bursts of 5 to 10 minutes at a time. There are a bunch of benefits to this. One is that instead of using your phone to scroll and stuff, you just pick up your book and read it every time you want to get distracted or you're bored. But you also have time to process in the information that you read. Think, how can I apply this before getting to the next reading session? If you read the whole book or read a ton of chapters, you really can't take all of it and apply it. You can only apply like 1 or 2 things at a time, and that means that everything that you read, well, you sort of just lost it, you forgot it. It makes what you learn a lot more impactful, easily digestible, and you get less overwhelmed by all the knowledge that you've just taken in. Reading's great. I love reading. Habit number 17 is diet related, and that is to eat high quality fats instead of easily digestible carbohydrates like sugary foods or breads or pastas. Instead, I'll opt for like nuts, avocados, or oils that I can supplement my meals with. It prevents like an insulin spike and then that tired crash right after, but instead my energy levels are a lot more stable throughout the day, but I'm not a doctor, so read some doctor books or something. This is just how I feel. Habit number 18 is to have a consistent sleep routine every single day. People underestimate the importance of sleep when it comes to being productive. Sleep is so important for our focus levels and our energy levels. So like most people need 7 to 9 hours of sleep a day. Habit number 19 is to have a journal with you everywhere. I have a bunch of like little journals that just exist around the house, and it's a great way to capture all your thoughts and what you're thinking about work or ideas that you've read or conversations that you've had. You can collect all these things that are written down and you won't forget them later on. Habit number 20 is to create a void. Just a space where you can do nothing for 15 minutes to about an hour a day. I learned something while learning about decluttering, and it's if you have your drawers 100% full, you can't organize them. You can't move things around to organize it. Similar to your day. If your day is so packed of things, like there's no empty space for you to wiggle around and move things and have a buffer. If you have a void where you're just doing nothing, you now have space for your brain to think about what's going on, like what are your priorities. It has more time to play and create ideas because nothing is occupying that space. So this is a hard habit for me to do, but one thing I've realized is that it really gives you more energy back and to have that empty void space rather than always going and working. And definitely don't fill it up with content consumption, because I did this once and I was so tired afterwards. Just take the break, accept it. It feels nice once you get used to it. Habit 21 is to create a list of questions to ask yourselves every day. These questions can include opportunities to improve your life, like what habits should I build? What are my priorities in life right now? What's the most important thing I can do today? Is there anything that I need to remove? Am I doing too much? Am I being effective? We have a bunch of questions that we ask ourselves every day. If you stumble upon good questions, collect them, write them in a journal, and comment them down below if you have any great questions. I'd love to know. Habit number 22 is daily exercise. Now, rather than going super hard a couple times a week, I prioritize daily exercise because I get to move every day. It keeps my energy levels really great. But it also starts this great habit of going to the gym every day or moving your body every day. And eventually people at the gym just start to know you, and that's pretty awesome. And the last one, habit number 23, is to remove more than what you're comfortable with. Now, this isn't like decluttering minimalism 101, removing things that you do in your life. We all think that we want to do it all, and when we're thinking about 2 different options, we're like, well, why not just do both? There are trade-offs in life. When you decide anything, you're choosing to not do other things. So this resonates really well with essentialism and minimalism, actually. I've read Essentialism by Greg McKeown, And it gives this great analogy that if you have a big barrel and you want to fit sand, medium rocks, and big rocks into it, what order are you going to put them in? If you put the sand in first, then you can't fit any of the big rocks or the small rocks. So what you want to do is you want to fit in the big rocks first, and those are your biggest priorities for life. They're things like health, family, making sustainable income, and maybe some social relationships. And then afterwards, you can fit in these small rocks, which would be like journaling, meditation, having a dog, whatever your small rocks are to you. And then afterwards, you can fill it in with sand, and then it's full. Big priorities first. That's the most important part. And because there's a limited amount of space, you're gonna have to really pick and choose. You can't do it all. And that's something important that I've learned recently, is that every time you make a decision, even if you don't make a decision, you're trading off something else. It forces you to do less, but then do everything that you choose to do better. That way, you can really nail down what you want to focus on and allot your energy and your time to doing the big rocks and not saying yes to everything and things that don't actually move the needle and you don't actually care about. So those are the 23 habits I didn't realize would make me more productive, but they do. If you want to develop systems to build sustainable habits, check out this video here where I walk you through step by step on how to achieve your goals by setting up systems that are gonna last you a lifetime.